Again, my name is Shelly Punk. I am a counselor. I'm a licensed clinical professional counselor in the state of Illinois, which means I've gone through the licensing process. I live in Newark, Illinois, which isn't very far away from here. I grew up in a rural area also, and grew up in a Christian home. You know, Christ had a huge influence on my life, and also on my decision to become a counselor. I really felt like He was leading me in that direction. I feel like He gave me a lot of gifts in that area, and so where I've worked before, I haven't really been able to use my faith a lot, but I still feel like the Holy Spirit has been able to maybe touch people's hearts just by, you know, things that I've said, even though I couldn't really share my faith. As far as my education goes, I got my bachelor's at Trinity International University in psychology, and then I took a couple of years off and worked, and then I went back and got my master's degree at Wheaton College in clinical psychology. I did counseling for about 5 years until this past year. I took a year off because I had children and staying home with them right now. But I worked as an intern in a private agency for a year, and then for about 5 years or 4.5 years, I worked at a community mental health agency, which probably is the best way to learn when you start in this field, because you basically see everyone and everything, and I saw kids from 4 years old to, you know, older people in the 70s, and every diagnosis from ADHD to schizophrenia and everything in between, family issues. So even though I only have done it for about 4.5 years, I feel like I kind of got a crash course in a lot of things, and had about a caseload of about 80, 90 clients, and so got to learn a lot in those years. And so like I said, currently I'm not doing that, but hopefully I'm hoping that I can do some type of counseling in the future, maybe on a part-time basis, or even doing things like this. I'm excited about a ministry where I can help Christian youth centers or pastors or people who want to know more about mental health and some of the issues that are facing people that maybe they don't know a lot about. So I'm going to try to stop along the way as I'm talking, but feel free if you have a question or something that comes up, just, you know, stop me, and we can, you know, I want this to be interactive, so I'm just not talking the whole time, and really be able to give you guys what you want today. So basically, some of the different things I'm going to be covering is just basic mental health issues that teens face. Self-injury, I know that's an issue that you guys have dealt with before, and Nick mentioned divorce, sexual abuse, and also low self-esteem. So I'm going to be talking about some of those things, giving you a brief overview of those, and then maybe some suggestions on how you can help people who are dealing with some of those issues. And also just ending with some tips and techniques about different issues that might come up. So, but first of all, I just want to say, like Nick was talking about how you guys get in a lot of conversations with students, and they really trust you. They start telling you these things, and what a great privilege that is, because they're not letting a lot of people into that part of their world. And so it just goes to show that you guys are doing a lot of things really right, because they wouldn't be telling you these things unless they really trusted you. And you are their counselors right now, because a lot of teens don't like going to counselors. I loved working with teens because they were probably the most challenging clients, because usually they didn't want to be there. They come in, sit down, look at me, refuse to speak. And so it was just like, how can I get into, you know, how can I connect with this person? And if I could get someone smiling or talking to me by the end of a hour session, then I felt like I accomplished something. So, you know, they a lot of times are a lot more comfortable talking to people that are just in their life. And so many of you probably have a lot more skills than you realize. I don't think that there's probably a huge difference between me and a lot of you, except for I just had some education and training to know how to maybe go more in depth with some things. But you can do a lot of the same things that I would do in a counseling session. So just know that you have a lot more skills than you probably realize. And also you have the Holy Spirit helping you, which I think is a huge, you know, I feel like He led me a lot in working with a lot of the people that I did. And so just remember those things when you encounter these situations and you feel like, I don't know what I'm doing, I don't know if I should be doing this or talking about this with this person. So another thing too is I'm talking through some of these things. There's going to be spiritual aspects to a lot of maybe these different issues that I might not refer to. That doesn't mean that they're not present. I'm just focusing more kind of on the clinical and professional area. But feel free to bring, you know, that into anything that I'm talking about, because most issues and problems that people have, there's definitely, you know, the fact that we live in a sinful world, And a lot of, that's where these things are coming from. And I don't want to just leave that part out, but I might not always really refer to that. So I just want to let you guys know that too. So just to get started, some basic mental health issues that you guys are probably going to see with some of your teens. And I'm going to kind of give you some maybe symptoms, things, different things. Now, the purpose isn't for you to diagnose all of the kids that come here. I don't want you to do that. But basically, it might help you just with empathy and understanding where they're coming from, because a lot of times the symptoms might be something that really bothers you about someone, but if you can understand that's a part of maybe what they're going through, it might help you in dealing with maybe some of the things that bother you about some of the teens that you might be working with. So, probably the three main ones you're going to see is depression, bipolar, and anxiety. A lot of people know about these things, they hear about them in the news or different things like that, but depression is just the basic depressed mood. Usually people have a lack of interest, maybe sleep problems, they feel worthless, they don't have a lot of concentration, they might have thoughts of death, things like that. And depression is usually caused by either biological component, a chemical imbalance, something in their brain isn't working right. It may be environmental, something going on, or a certain situation that's happened in their life. A trauma or a big change or things like that. Is my mic okay? Okay. Secondly, bipolar. Bipolar is basically someone who has periods of depression, usually lasting anywhere from several weeks to several months. And then interspersed in their depression, they're going to have periods of mania. And a lot of people hear about bipolar, it's, you hear about it in the news or you see commercials about it. But basically mania is just a brief period, usually several days to maybe a week. Sometimes it's different depending on the person. But it's where they might have an inflated self-esteem. They can go on like no sleep, endless energy. They may have racing thoughts. They never stop talking. They might do really risky things or things that are out of character for them. I would say probably maybe if you're dealing with a teen that has bipolar in a manic state, that they probably would be very difficult to deal with. And so that's why I kind of share this with you, that they're probably going to get on your nerves really bad, because they're just like, they just don't stop. And so just understanding that there may be something mental health-wise going on just helps you to think about, okay, how can I, support this person, help this person, instead of just getting so annoyed with them that I just want to walk away from them. And so that's another thing that you might see. And then lastly is anxiety. A lot of teens might have anxiety. That can be anything from just excessive worrying about things or phobias, panic attacks. They might have had a trauma, and so they have some effects of that. I would say anxiety is probably usually environmental or a learned behavior. Maybe there's people that they've been around that have a lot of anxiety. And it could be an aspect of depression too. So those are just some basic mental health issues that you might face with teens or youth that you're going to be seeing. And like I said, not that you can sit down and say, okay, they must have this, but just to know that this might be an underlying issue that's going on, and what are some ways that maybe I can help them.